I once listened to a message by evangelist Reinhard Bonnke, and it completely shifted my understanding of the parable of Jesus feeding the 5,000. It wasn't just a sermon, it was an anointing that touched me deeply, especially during a time when I was struggling. Have you ever faced a moment where you knew trusting Jesus was the answer, yet still found it nearly impossible to take that very first step forward? Sometimes the hardest part is crossing those 10 yards between where we are and where faith requires us to go. In John chapter 6, Jesus fed 5,000 men with only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. But let's not forget, where men were, they were accompanied with women and children. That crowd could have been 10,000, maybe more. Jesus knew exactly what he was going to do. Yet he performed this miracle to teach his disciples and us that when human reasoning says impossible, God still says possible. Picture it. A crowd of more than 10,000 people seated in rows across the hillside. A boy's small lunch, 5 loaves, 2 fish, barely enough for him alone. In John 6, verse 11, Jesus broke the bread and gave it to his disciples to feed the crowd. Now imagine Peter, in his hand, less than half a piece of bread. Each step toward the first row feels heavier than the last, his heart pounding, doubts racing. Lord, what are you making me do? How can I feed this crowd with this little? Step by step across those 10 difficult yards. And then, the moment arrives. He stretches out his hand, offers that tiny piece of bread, and suddenly, multiplication begins. The impossible unfolds before his very eyes. If the disciples had refused to walk those 10 yards, they never would have witnessed God's power. And the same is true for us. How often do we stop halfway? How often does the enemy whisper, "What if you fail?" And we step back instead of forward. But Jesus says, take that step, trust me, walk those 10 yards, and I will do the rest. If Jesus could multiply loaves and fish, can he not multiply your limited resources today? If God used Elisha to multiply widow's oil to the extent to clear her debt, can he not multiply the limited resources today? If he could turn water into wine, can he not transform your ordinary into the extraordinary? If he could heal the blind, raise the dead, restore the broken, can he not heal your body, your mind, your family, your future? When the disciples finished feeding the crowd, there were 12 baskets of leftovers, abundance beyond what was needed. This is what happens when we trust and obey. Not just enough, but overflow, so we can bless others. I speak blessing over your life, in your health, your finances, your spirit, and every part of your walk with God. This is the call today. Take the 10 yards, trust Jesus, and watch the impossible become possible. If this message has blessed you, please like, share, and subscribe to 7 Blessings You.